Welcome to Microsoft Community Insight Podcast, where we share insights and stories from community experts to stay up to date in Microsoft. Today, we will dive into the new features, Foundry Toolbox with Arafat Tehsin. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Could you please introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Arafat Tehsin. I'm based out of Sydney, Australia. It's 9 p.m. over here right now. And yeah, I'm one of the Microsoft Foundry MVPs, previously Microsoft AI MVPs. And I run a small startup called Fedora, and we build just AI services. We help with AI services and help our clients with Microsoft AI primarily, and solve their business problems. That's what I do day in day out. So happy to talk about the latest stuff around Microsoft Foundry Toolbox.
Okay. Uh, so you said you work in a startup. Uh, do you work? I take it you work with all the latest like AI features, like for example.
Yeah, yeah. Um, we are working within Microsoft AI ecosystem uh,
Yeah.
for a number of years now. Like I personally have been working, but regarding the startup, so I think it's been just 1.5 years since I started this thing, just to help Microsoft customers with the latest, or you can say the today's AI rather than the classic machine learning or the AI stuff, which has been there for a while. But my primary goal is to help solve complex problems using applied AI. So, for example, Microsoft Foundry, and whatever comes with that. So, whether it is speech, voice, language, um, latest tooling like A2A, hosted agents, Foundry, whatever. So, yeah, that's what I do day in, day out.
Okay. So from your experience, do you have any challenges, like for example, with customers and when implementing the latest features like the voice?
Oh yeah, a lot. So I've been working with one of the other startups who I advise around the voice capability, and we have seen a lot of challenges because the voice is one of the one of the areas where it still needs a lot of improvement. Though it feels like, or when we see any demo, we think that okay, this is the tip, like this is the tipping point where we can't just go further. That's not right. It's just that um, the way human conversations work are very complex, and as a result of that, we are having those trouble, we are having those challenges as well. So one of the examples I would just give you very quickly is the work which we are trying to do is we are recording witness interviews, and witness interviews are for the law enforcement agencies, and they are not
Yeah.
pretty simple. Like they are lengthy interviews, we can say about an hour interview. It should not go wrong because they are admissible in court, and it should not also hallucinate the way you would just tolerate the hallucination when you are working within the just normal customer or retail centric environment. So as a result of that, we had to do a lot of hit and like, um, you can say, trial and error approach. We had to go and improve it again and again, so continuous improvements have been going on. But
Yeah.
we, like, I still can't say with the advent of GPT Live, GPT Real Time 2, GPT Real Time 1, and even the new Foundry capabilities, we can't say that we are 100% there yet. So definitely we are having those challenges. When will it be solving? When will it solve? I think it will take about a year or two to reach to a place where we can safely say that yes, this is what we wanted. Another thing, like another very big challenge in voice is, for example, if I'm talking and keep talking like this, what I'm doing right now, and if I want to do any processing behind the scenes, like tool calling or something, um,
Yeah.
though OpenAI's real-time models um, say that or promise that they are doing some efficient tool calling, we have seen that it has not there yet completely. So there is a chance of missing out the tool call. There is a chance of getting a lag. There is a chance of interpreting it wrongly, and all of that stuff. So those challenges are there. Whereas when it comes to text, it has improved a lot, a lot, to an extent that it has reached to a point where we can say that yes, it has now beaten or reached to a point where human parity, uh, it can be matched with it in terms of the processing. So not talking about the
Yeah,
judgment part, but processing part, like how you would, operate and all of that. So with text agentic frameworks, or the text modality, you can definitely achieve that, but with voice it is still a challenge.
yeah. Even for like public sector, like government, I wouldn't do it in production because it's crucial. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I would just like create POC and things. So
yeah,
for like this theme of this episode is Foundry Toolbox. Have you where so Foundry Toolbox was released in Microsoft Build. I think it was
that's
June.
right. Yep.
And could you explain what it is, Toolbox?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Before I think let's before we get into like what
Yeah,
Foundry Toolbox is, I'll give you a little bit of overview of Foundry Toolbox, and then we discuss the problem, because it definitely solves a very interesting problem, and which we have in industry have been facing, and everybody who are listening to us or watching us will be able to resonate what we are talking about. So when we first build an agent, right? Like, it always start with any model, whether you are using Claude model or whether you are using like GPT models or whatever the models you are using. But the actual goal that where that comes into play is that agent has to do some real work, right? And the hard part is that it moves elsewhere, like it goes into the tool calling part. So
yeah,
it need and the agent needs to reach to some business systems when they are tool calling. It needs to authenticate correctly. It needs to choose the right capability with the help of model, and it also needs to stay like governed. So this is the problem which Microsoft Foundry Toolbox is going to be solving. Now, when I talk about, like, let's discuss with the problem. So you can see on my screen right now, and those who are not able to see the screen, that's fine. What I'm showing over here is that when you have got an agent, and you have got an agent which is running in production or which is about to run in production, and it solves some sophisticated problems. It is comprised of many tools, right? It is comprised of REST APIs. It is comprised of MCPs toolings. It is comprised with like agent to agent, end to endpoints, search indexes, knowledge bases, and whatnot. Each of this capability, which I have spoken about, whether it is REST API, MCP, agent to agent, everything brings its own protocol and identity story. So one might need an API key, where the other one might need like OAuth, the other one might need like Entra ID. And if agent owns all of the integration code, we definitely repeat adapters, credentials, and all of that. So our code becomes some spaghetti by the end of the day, right? So if it is just one or two tool calls, or if there are just one tool, two tools, three tools, four tools, then it's fine. You can definitely create some sophisticated or organized manner. But when the tool gets increased, it becomes a tool sprawl. So over here, if we see on the screen, we are seeing that our agent is now trying to connect to multiple like authentication
yeah,
mechanisms, multiple systems through like REST API. So, but the human request is simple behind the scenes. Like, human wants to get an answer from like one or two systems, and
yeah,
but this is not happening over here, because for a huge enterprise agent, we can see that usually we are now working with like 20 tools, 50 tools, 40 tools. So this is the problem which we have now seen. Now, if we If we go further a little bit more, we also see that there is another problem of context. Because, for example, you have got 50 tools. 50 tools are being loaded on this runtime of the agent, which means that if you have got agent, like there are three six or three sorry six endpoints for your API, four endpoints for your knowledge base, and three endpoints for your A2A communication with other agents. Like, all of them will be loaded on demand, loaded on the runtime in your as a part of your context window. Now, if you are using some small models, your context window is half, near, like it is half reached already, like 50% of them has been consumed already. So this means that your input tokens have been occupied, and you are going to be getting into a trouble after a few more iterations, like after 50 messages or 20 messages. Then you will start getting the messages or the response as the hallucination, even if you build some compaction to it.
Yeah.
So as a result of that, what Microsoft Foundry team has done is that they thought that, hey, why not we bring a capability in between, and we what we do is we bring um, a box where all of your tools will be set up, like where your all of the tools will be organized, and you do not have to worry about authentication mechanisms, you don't have to worry about different protocols, you don't have to worry about how they are governed. You just have to worry about that toolbox connectivity with your agent, right? So this means that your agent is just going to be talking to a toolbox. I'll talk about like what toolbox is, how it is getting communicated with, but this toolbox is only thing which you will have to worry about. Now that toolbox will have all the tools which you need as a part of your agent operation. um, that
Yeah.
toolbox can contain 50 tools, right? But the good point is that you don't have to worry about those 50 tools, you just have to worry about your toolbox. Now, more,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So this is, if you, so for those who are listening to me, it's kind of like your agent is just talking to a toolbox. They have got, your agent has got just an endpoint of the toolbox. Your agent does not have an endpoints of the other tools, individual tools which are connected to toolbox. Why? Because we are already able to set up that toolbox in Microsoft Foundry once. You can do that via code as well. You can do by going into the Microsoft Foundry and attach it using your like the GUI, which is graphical user interface, like the portal of Foundry.
Yeah. So,
Or you can attach it with code as well. Yes, sorry, you had a
yeah.
question.
So think of Toolbox like a central place for all the tools, your internal tools for your agents. And
That's right.
does it affect? Is there a limit of tools that you can use in the toolbox stored, or you just have to store like 50, or you can't store like too much?
Yeah, so this is a very good question. So right now, since the Foundry Toolbox capability is new, and some of the capabilities are in preview, not all of it in preview. Number
Yeah.
one, so for example, Toolbox itself is not in preview, but um, there are a couple of things which are in preview. So you, if you were to ask me that, hey, I can bring in all the tools into my agent, can I bring all of those tools to my toolbox as well? The the right answer would be no right now, because they are still being worked on. So for example, like a very big simple example would be that, can I bring in uh, SharePoint or work IQ to my toolbox? The answer is right now no, you can't, because it is still being worked on. So, how much time will it take? Like, I can we can definitely put this in our show notes, that will show, like, the Microsoft documentation is there
Yeah.
for Foundry Toolbox, which shows like what is possible right now and what is not possible right now. So, for very quickly, if I were to just talk about like which what you cannot do with Toolbox, sorry, Work IQ. Just to repeat, Work IQ is possible with Toolbox. Fabric IQ is also with possible with Toolbox. What is not possible with Toolbox is computer use, which you might have seen, like the browser use or the computer use, which we call it as like KUA, which is computer use agent. It is not possible with Toolbox. Image generation is not possible with Toolbox. SharePoint native integration is not possible with Toolbox right now. However, you can like connect Work IQ, and a lot of things will be exposed through that. Fabric data agent is not possible right now with Toolbox. So these are the things which are not um, available with Toolbox right now. But again, these are the new capabilities. They will be coming up very soon. So don't worry about it. Like, this is not, nobody is stopping you not to use Toolbox. As I said, Toolbox is now in, like, this capability is there in production. You can start using it. I'll talk about what is not in product, like what is not in GA mode, and then we will talk about that. So there are two main capabilities which are not in GA mode, which we will talk about. So this
How,
brings me.
how? Sorry, one question. How do you protect the toolbox? Is it protected by the entry ID
Yeah, yeah,
identity?
yeah, yeah. You can protect your toolbox with the managed identity as well. So don't worry about it. So we will, when we get into um, the the implementation, which I will show you, then you will know like
Yeah.
how you can protect that specific toolbox as well, and the tools behind the toolbox as well. But to just build up on what we have discussed so far is, our toolbox has got all the tools. Now, the question might be that, okay, fine, then how does the toolbox work behind the scenes? Because if I have got 50 tools with me, and if I've got my toolbox, which my agent is getting connected to, but my 50 tools are being exposed to toolbox, this means that my agent is also going to be connecting to 50 tools at the end of the day. So is it
Yeah.
not the same thing? Like, is it not consuming all of my tokens? So the answer is, and the good news is that definitely no, because this was the problem which Microsoft Foundry team wanted to solve. And what they did smartly is, they just exposed two tools, right? Two tools. One is that, which we call it as tool search, like Microsoft
Yeah.
Foundry team called it as tool search, and the other one is call tool. So tool search and call tool are the only two tools which are always exposed, right? Which are always exposed. And as a result of that, whenever you are going to ask about, for example, hey, can you please find out a document, or which talks about parental leave, for example, and this is an HR document which is residing in my knowledge source or knowledge base or Foundry IQ, you can say. So tool search will know that which tool should I call, or which skill should I call, to get all of this detail. Right now, I mentioned about the skill, which I will come back to that topic in a bit. But tool search does not use all of the tools, so that's why this is smart enough that it will just search first, and then it will just bring in that specific tool which needs to be called. So again, it is saving your tokens, it is saving your performance, it is acting smartly, it is not giving you to take care of the authentication of all of those. It is not giving you exposing its protocols and whatnot. So this has become and made it so easier for the agent developers as well, for us as well, and also for the business as well, like, because they don't have to like invest too much into tokens and too much into the overall models. Now,
Okay. So does the end user, like for example, if do you the end user need to do a tool call, and then it will be a someone will make a tool search, or is it same?
yeah, Dennis. So, for example, I am a user, and
Yeah.
I come in, and when I come in and I say, "Hey, can you find me a policy which talks about how much can I spend when I'm going on a business trip?" Right now,
Yeah.
this is again a policy which HR might have put somewhere, let's say in SharePoint, and SharePoint is connected to Foundry IQ, and Foundry IQ, or Work IQ, and all of those, as I said, that it is supported. What it will do, that with the use of tool search first, it will go and it will find out that which tool talks about the HR policy, right? And then it will
Okay.
just expose that tool, and that agent will call that tool, right? Agent will call that tool, and then that tool will be returning the response, and then agent will be showing that response. So once that response is done, then that tool which was invoked will be going back again behind the scenes, behind the wall of toolbox, or you can say
Yeah.
it will go and get itself organized within that toolbox, and that's it. It will just sit idle until it is called again. So tool search capability searches for that, and tool call capability calls the tool. So, and and that's why, like, everything is, as I said, that you can, and when I will show very quickly in by going into Foundry, you will see that you can have like unauthenticated, you can have authenticated, you can have like managed, you can have like subscription key, whatever the mode your tools are working against, it will be supporting that as well. And on this screen, which you can see over here, that agent has got certain um, identity which can only connect to toolbox. So we can secure our toolbox in many ways, and we can also have like guardrails associated with that, because it's a short time. Like, I guardrails definitely need a separate topic to discuss and to go through all of those details. But this has been designed very, very thoughtfully, and as a result of that, you um, as a result of that, like, you can definitely support secure all of the toolbox capability.
Okay.
Now, I talked about skills as well. So skills and tool search capability are the two capabilities within Microsoft Foundry Toolbox which are in preview. So they are not in GA mode so far. Can should you not use tool search capability for production? That's just my words, not Microsoft's words, and someone who has been doing this. I would suggest you that start using it, unless it is like a very mission critical system that would just break if you start using it. Otherwise, definitely Microsoft will be bringing that capability to GA, because they have put it in preview, and it is something which should be coming up, like, with its improvement. So if your systems are not super mission critical, I would suggest you to start using it. It's the same case as when Microsoft Agent Framework came out. It was still in beta, or you can say it was not GA, but we started moving our agents from semantic kernel to Agent Framework because we knew that Microsoft is investing into this, and it would go live with the improvement. So I would suggest that Microsoft Foundry Toolbox is in the similar situation. So skills and tool search will both be going. Now, skills are 100% supported with toolbox as well. So it's not just MCP servers, it's not just that REST endpoints, it is also skills which are supported as well. Now, what
Is that the same like agent skills that you define like
that's
what
right.
you want the tools to be, everything? Okay.
Yeah. So this means that to make it easier for the audiences, for example, you might want to run a Python code out of your skill. So Toolbox will expose that capability where you will be running Python code as well. So it is there, and it works as well. I built a demo for that, so I can show you. So now, because it's a Toolbox capability, if your version and if your like if your endpoints version, if your tools are getting changed, you don't have to worry about updating your tools, or updating your endpoints, or update or refreshing your agents again and again, because toolbox is going to be taking care of everything, right? It is toolbox's task to get and to to work with the tools to get the latest out of it rather than
Mm.
you worry about that. So this is again another very good point where I believe that toolbox is something which we should be focusing towards, because if we have got like more tools, if you have got like just two tools, 2 to 10 tools, just 2 endpoints, sure, you don't have to worry about toolbox. But so far I have seen and I have worked with the agents for now number of years, and I can tell you that the production level systems have got more than 20, 30, or even 40 or 50 tools. So just don't ignore that part, because you are consuming your context window if you are not using toolbox. Again, this is the last bit of our story over here, but before I get into the demo, so definitely toolbox really helps you in many ways. As I talked about, like toolbox will allow you to connect with your Foundry IQ, your work IQ, all of the latest capabilities except for the ones which I have just mentioned previously that are not supported. But uh, if unless you are doing some multimodality task, like you are getting image generation out of it, you are doing something very wacky or fancy for your business use case, then definitely you use the tool calls like separately. You
Yeah.
can also use combination, like you can use toolbox and tools separately as well, like in the combination of that as well, nobody's stopping you. Some of the tools, so another question which came into my mind, like people are usually ask this, and then I'll let you ask Nick any question if you have got. But what was the other question which which came to my mind, because this was asked by one of the people in when I was discussing this initially, I think it was last conference, that we want some tools to be already exposed rather than tool search to be exposing it. So can you do that? So there is a capability to pin your tool before even it is searched by tool search. So there is a capability, for example, you always want 3 or 4 tools to be exposed by your agent. Definitely you can do that as well. So it's not that only tool search will bring up your tool. You can definitely have those capabilities as well. Yeah.
So
Um,
if you have like different agents with like maybe less than 10 tools, then you wouldn't need a toolbox. But if you have like enterprise environment with 50 tools, then maybe consider use toolbox. Is that correct?
100%. Yeah, yeah. 100%. Because if you are not using that, um, you will end up having like a lot of spaghetti code, number one.
Yeah.
And I'll show you in just a minute, like what does it mean when I say like spaghetti code, and you will see the difference even with like .NET or Python code. Um, the second part is, if it is a small agent, sure, don't overcomplicate things. Like it might be an overkill at times as well. Like, why are you creating Foundry Toolbox when you have just got like 2 or 3 tools, right? So there's no point. But I have not seen any uh, enterprise system or agent which is using just 2 or 3 tools where it is being used in production. So the suggestion is that yes, use Foundry Toolkit. Oh, sorry, Foundry Toolbox. So if I go and show you a few things, number one is, let's talk about the capability first. So I'll bring in this this Microsoft doc, which is very good. It also talks about what you can and what you can't do. So you can see that there are supported tools, and these are the tools which are not supported, which is like computer use, image generation, SharePoint. Um, these are, and direct tool integration is already there. Of course, these are the three direct tool integrations which are not there, but apart from that, everything is there. Of course, this will take some time for them to be appearing, like for example, function calling, grounding with Bing and all of that. But if you are using any of these capabilities like Open API endpoints, code interpreter, Azure AI Search, then sure, start using your Foundry as well, Foundry Toolbox as well. All right, so I'll show you a little bit. Like I've got just 2 or 3 demos, which we won't take a lot of time. and we do have time, right, Nicholas? If
Yeah.
okay, so I have got, and I can publish this later on. I have not published this to any repo right now, but I'm happy to publish the code. There is no problem. So if you see, and I'll just close this. So I'll just increase my font so that everybody can see. Now, this is my tool search demo, which is very simple. It what it does is basically I'm using agent framework. So Microsoft agent framework is something which they use it on daily basis. So Microsoft agent framework is a very comprehensive framework for your agentic workflows. Whatever, no matter what you are using behind the scenes, whether you are using AWS Bedrock, you are using Microsoft Foundry, whether you are using whatever the as I said, like provider, whether it is Anthropic, OpenAI, and I would suggest you to start using Microsoft Agent Framework. So Microsoft Agent Framework has got a first class support with Foundry as well. But before we get into the code, let me also take you to my Foundry. This will also give you some idea. So this is my Foundry. So if you go to the Foundry, you will see a project. This is my project, which has got like 3 agents running. Uh, we don't have to worry about agents. We are not discussing agents today. So if I go to tools over here, and I will increase my resolution a little bit. So if you go to tools, you will see that there are 3 tools available, right? So one tool is my Azure REST API specs MCP, which is my own MCP. You can see, sorry, this is not my own MCP. I'll talk about my own MCP in a bit. So this is the MCP which contains Azure REST API specs. It is unauthenticated, and that's it over here. Then we have got Microsoft Learn MCP, which is a very famous MCP. I think it is one of the most famous MCPs of Microsoft,
Yeah.
which we use. And then we have got my own field service knowledge MCP. That's my own MCP. And you can see that its authentication is Foundry project managed identity. It's not the API key or unauthenticated. Now, I wanted to bring all of that in my toolbox. So what I did, I created a toolbox. This is my another toolbox on board room toolbox. This is a part of my another sample which is already published on my GitHub repo. If you look for onboard room, you will find that. But we are talking about field service podcast toolbox, which I will just for today's podcast. What it has got a few tools. So you can see that it has got the tools for field service knowledge, which I just showed you. It has
Yeah.
got the tool of my Microsoft Learn. It has got the tool for my API specs, and it has also got couple of tools which I have not created, but thanks to Microsoft, we have got a huge tools catalog. So one of them is public web search, another one is Python analysis for code interpreter. It also has got one skill, as you can see over here. So if I go back and if I show you, I have got one skill over here as well. So although it is in preview, but we are going to be using this skill as well, right? So you can see over here. Um, Talking about tools or public tools, you can click on this tool, and when you go to connect to a tool, you will see a lot of tools over here. You can see a whole list of tools. You can go to catalog and you will find like hundreds of tools over here. How to see that in a nice manner? If you go to home and if you click on tools, then you will see, yeah, a good layout of the tools. But now this is our toolbox. This is what we have created. um, I wanted to show you a little bit of code over here. So what we are doing over here is we are making a connection of our toolbox. This toolbox settings or the endpoint is mentioned over here. Now, what is the toolbox endpoint? Let's talk about this as well in a bit. So this toolbox endpoint basically is just a very basic MCP endpoint. So if you see this endpoint, you see that this is the basic endpoint, and it works
Yeah.
around the MCP. Like it's literally an MCP endpoint. So we just provide that toolbox endpoint over here, and then there is a MCP client tool which exposes the tools. What I'm doing over here that I'm getting the list of tools against this toolbox. And then what I'm doing, I've got my own prompt written that, hey, find the official Microsoft Learn documentation for Microsoft Foundry Toolbox. Like we are using this. Explain in 2 sentences after finding the documentation that what toolbox search reduces context overload and include the source link. So once we have got the prompt, we are just going to be creating a project client instance, and then we are creating just an agent, not even creating it, just connecting with our agent. And then I'm just defining this agent, like what are the instructions over here. You can see that you are a concise technical presenter. If a required capability is not initially visible, call tool search before concluding in that it is available, then call the discover tool. And once it is done, I will just run the agent and it should work fine. So we'll run that together, but I'm just showing you that this.
So, so if you don't define an instruction, will it call the tool search automatically, or you have to define an instruction?
No, no. If you don't define it, it will anyway try to call it. But it
Okay.
is all. But it will. It is always good to explain it rather than
Yeah.
let it determine what it needs to do, because then it can go in different directions as well depending on the model which you are using. If you are using GPT 5.6, sure, it would go and start calling it. But if you are not going to be defining and using, for example, GPT old models, GPT 5 or GPT 5.2 maybe, it might not call as well. So that's why I've just deliberately defined over here. um, this is for tool search. Now imagine you have you had a tool call, like you had 50 tools. You had to define, instead of just one tool point, you had to define like 50 tool calls over here as well. And then you might have to define their authentication mechanism, their protocols, and all of that stuff, right? So your code, instead of being on the 13.8 line where we have got like a lot of verbosity, um, you might end up having like 400, like 100 plus lines of code, which is not good. Because why are you doing that when you can manage it properly? So then we have got another demo which is around the field briefing. It is the same thing, connecting with the toolbox, getting the list of toolbox. Just another prompt over here: prepare the field replacing mechanical seal on pump P200, because P200 is the data which is a part of my knowledge base. And then I'm also defining the same over here, that you are a field service planning assistant, load the briefing skill. Because you might have seen that I've shown you the skill. It will try to load that skill, and then use the toolbox search to find the internal knowledge and preserve the citation as well, right? And I've put a little bit guardrail that never invent live work order approval or inventory status. Again, using the same, but over here I'm also using a kind of approval over here. If I have not defined all tools auto approval rule, it would just stop and ask me for the approval. But for the sake of demo, I've just done it. So you can also have like approvals against your tools as well.
Yeah.
It's not the case that, oh, it is just you have left it and then it is going away. And the last one, and then we'll just close it, is I have got another research analysis which is going to be using the same tooling system, but will also be using web search. Because over here, and also code interpreter. So it's like the everything, like it's with everything. So it's not just with basic tools stuff. It is running with full throttle, you can say. So I will bring all of that together and I'll show you like how you can run it quickly. So just give me 1 minute and I'll just. So this is my terminal, where we are residing. We are on this same directory where which I was showing it to you on my VS Code, because I love VS Code. So, but whenever I'm running it and I'm showing some capability, I use my uh, Foundry, sorry, terminal. So this is my PowerShell script which I just created. I can show you. So this PowerShell script talks about like where my some credentials, my subscription ID, and all of that stuff, and then it will be running it over here as well. So the demo. So let's run it, and what it will do, it will just run demo 1 of 3, which is tool search. You can see over here, um, we are running on .NET 10. So it will take some little time to just load it, but once it is loaded, then it should be fine. So now what it is doing, it has created the tools. You can see that it has reported tools, tool search, call tool, and couple of tools it has reported. Toolbox has reported, but toolbox reporting is something else. Pass to the model is something else. Remember this. So you can see that past, only two tools have been passed a tool call, although I had like six tools in my tools toolbox set. I have asked to go and find out a couple of things, and it has come
Yeah.
back with an answer over here, right? My second demo, which was around the field briefing with Foundry IQ, the skill was this. It was loaded from the toolbox as an MCP source because that's what I put as my verbosity. Now what it is doing, it is just using the same tool calls like tool search and call tool, but it has now gone and it will go and do some like analysis from the knowledge base and all of that, and then it will come back with an answer. So once it gets back, then I'll show you what it brings. So and then hopefully then the last one will encounter or will infer the code interpreter as well. And mind you that this is live demo, so that's why it is taking time. That is out of my hands. But yeah, um, once it comes back, then we'll see what is going on. So yeah, that's I think this until it comes back. You can ask me any question if you have got anything, or people can reach out if they find any trouble in using Foundry Toolbox.
Yeah. So I would recommend maybe put this on the GitHub repo so we can have a play, so people
Yeah,
can
yeah,
just play around with the how you create these demos with
100%.
Toolbox.
So yeah, now so as you can see that now it has come back with the whole heaps of information like job summary is this, because we asked a question about like prepare a field briefing for replacing the mechanical seal on
Yeah.
pump P200. So it has now come up with all of the details which is required to be there. The third one is basically the demo
I,
which I have.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
sorry, go
think
on.
you can summarize the second demo like with all the like the output, so it makes
Yeah,
it way cleaner. Yeah. But
yeah,
it's good.
100%. Yeah, so I'll do that. I'll just run the no, not yeah. I'll just run the third one as well instead because it is not being run. So okay, for the third second one, what has happened is we for the first one we just exposed a couple of tools and just asked
Yeah.
it to give us an answer. For the second one we have also attached a skill which is in preview again. Tool search capability is also in preview, skill capability is also in preview. So what we have done is we have introduced a skill capability to this the second demo, and what we have asked that hey, can you please prepare a briefing for replacing the mechanical seal on pump 200, which is something related to my work, for example. um, Now what agent has done, it has gone behind the scenes, did a tool search, and found out that oh, I need to call a skill and start working against that skill. So what is inside the skill? Let's have a look and then you will understand more in the meantime when it is being worked on. So if I go to my skills and if I open up my skill, you will see that there is a couple of like details in that skill. And so it says that build a safe evidence backed field briefing with a clear verdict. And you can see that it is a skill.md. It has got certain criteria that how you should define certain things. Like there is a method to write the briefing, identify the asset and requested work, use the toolbox, tool search. All of that capability is there. And then according to whatever the description I have defined in my skill.md, it works like that. So it has produced an output according to the skill which I have put in over there. um, does it make sense,
Yeah,
Vikas?
it's very similar to instruction really.
That's
Yeah,
right. Yep,
nice
yep,
skill.
yep. Yep, because in that skill capability, I did not show any execution of like any other code or any code file. That's for the third demo, which we are running right now. It has got like Foundry IQ, web search, and code interpreter going on. So you can see that now what I have asked again, two cool tools have been called out, tool search and call tool. But what as our question, what we have done is we have asked the agent to create a short P200 vibration decision node and retrieve the internal warning and shutdown limits from the knowledge source, search the public web for a high level overview of ISO 20816 without treating it as a site policy. So, what we are doing is we are also searching the public web to get the ISO standard information and then use Python language to classify the readings of 6.8, 7.4, and 11.2 millimeters per second against the internal limits and calculating their mean. So this means that there is a little bit of code involved behind the scenes as well. So once it is done, then it will come back with its output, so which it has now. So you can see that now it has come back with its output that internal policy limits are these, internal source text is this, which it has provided, like a P200 vibration warning begins at blah blah. And then it has also calculated the mean of readings as we have asked it to calculate the mean of readings by running the code interpreter. Some of the folks reported that they are having some challenging challenges in executing the code interpreter with Foundry Toolbox. I did not encounter that, so hopefully I'll publish this sample. They will be able to get some looks at it, and hopefully they can just get the sense that how to use this capability. Maybe they are using it differently. So yeah, um, that's about it. And it has also given us some citations, as you can see at the last, that it has used Foundry IQ field service knowledge base. It has used public web overview of
Yeah,
yeah.
that's interesting for the citation, but is that internal and external? Oh, okay, and that
Yeah.
could be like a link of the
Yeah,
source.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. I just did not ask for the link over here, but
Yeah.
we could have asked, and it would have just given us the links as well. Not a problem.
Okay, brilliant. So thanks a lot, Afrat, for this amazing like session or information about Foundry Toolbox. So hopefully people know what it is and how useful it is in enterprise when you're creating like uh, agents and using like lots of like tools in production. Like if what Afrat say, if you have more than maybe 10 tools, consider using Foundry Toolbox. If you have a
Yeah,
less, maybe just stick to your number of tools. And you can use Foundry Toolbox with Agent Framework in not for .NET, but you can still use with Python, different languages as well. But I've only shown you .NET version of it.
that's right. Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So when he open source this demo, I can put like a link to its repo. So if those who want to try, feel free to try. And if any question, you can just reach out to myself or Afrat on LinkedIn or so if you're
Yes,
having
100%.
difficulty.
No problem.
Okay.
Happy to help.
Yeah. So yeah, no worries. So we always glad to get to know our guests. So what do you normally do aside from? Do you have any hobbies, Afrat? Aside from like playing with AIs, staying up to date with the
Yeah,
latest?
no, I do. Yeah, 100%. I'm an avid photography fan, so definitely go out on long walks over here in beautiful Sydney, and take a lot of like do a lot of photography as well. So if you would like to see the other face of mine, you can go to my website, and if you scroll down, you will see some of my work. So yeah, that's what I do.
Cool. If others are interested, I'll add it in the show notes for you to have a look at. So, are you
Yeah.
going to any? So, I remember recalling I saw something on LinkedIn that you went to university to present to teach something like.
Yeah. I usually do that. So yeah, I have been invited to a couple of universities in Sydney to talk about like how the agentic um, industry has been going, like agentic AI within this industry,
Yeah.
and how what is the future of work looking like, what is the future of like studies looking like, um, what kind of coding agents should we be using, and all of that stuff. So I went and talked about like building with coding agents in University of New South Wales, which is one of the top universities over here. And yeah, it was really good. We had some PhD candidates as well as like some different bachelor and master's degree candidates as well over there. So it was
Mhm.
fun
Was
talking to
that
them.
like a session, or was that like a workshop, demos and things?
Yeah, it was a guest speaker session.
Yeah,
So what it was comprised of demo and a little workshop. So yeah.
that's amazing. Yeah. So for those who want to get to know Afrat, he lives in Sydney, and you can just reach out to him if there's any question regarding agent framework or anything in general. Okay. Thank you for joining this episode, Afrat.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Bye.